When we come back, our emergency preparedness expert, Stefan Verstappen, will talk about the 3 staples you should stockpile for long-term storage. That conversation begins in about 2 minutes. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Richard Syrett Show on Newstalk Saga 960 AM.
The Survivalist on The Richard Syrett Show.
All right, welcome back. Stefan Verstappen joins us at this time every week. Emergency preparedness expert, author of The Art of Urban Survival, chinastrategies.com, and formingcommunities.com. Stefan, how was your weekend?
Pretty good, Richard. How was yours?
Too bad, thank you. Just, making some pemmican, sharpening my axe. Just getting ready for that big EMP event that's coming.
Excellent. Yeah, I did something this weekend I haven't done in 40 years. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I have not broken my vow of celibacy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay, what did you do for the first time in 40 years, Stefan?
I taught a first aid course.
Ah, okay, St. John's Ambulance.
Yeah, St. John's Ambulance. That's where I used to be an instructor, but I taught it for our community. So we have everybody needs to take a first aid course. Everybody needs to be up on this stuff for what's coming. And so we have a medical team, and it's really a good medical team. So there's me, St. John Ambulance instructor. I got a fireman, volunteer fireman. I got a former military medic. And we've got a naturopath. We've got 2 nurses. We got 2 herbalists.
Wow, excellent. So, in the event of some cataclysmic situation, you could basically start your own little field hospital.
Well, that's what we're thinking. We're looking into maybe renting a space and starting up a medical clinic in the event of an emergency. But, the 3 of us, we did a really good job on the course so far. It's ongoing, of course. And but we're the trauma team. So we would go out for trauma. And then we've got a medical team for home nursing and, patient recovery. So it's coming along pretty well, Richard, and I urge everybody, we've talked about this now for, a couple of months. Get a community get together and then pool your resources, and you'll be surprised how many people have really useful skills. And I was surprised. Well, we got all these people with really good medical skills.
Just a quick aside, because I know we're going to talk about the staples that you should be stockpiling for long-term storage, but just because you mentioned the St. John's Ambulance course, something that I've always wondered now, with CPR, have they changed the protocol? Like, there's no more mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, or is that not true?
No, yeah, they've changed the protocol. They've changed the protocol like a dozen times in the last 40 years since I've taught it. It used to be, when I was teaching, it was 10 compressions, 2 breaths. Now it's 30 compressions, 2 breaths. And I know they're going towards not even including the breathing, not even including the mouth-to-mouth, which I really don't understand why you would stop doing that. I would still do it. So 2 breaths, 30 compressions. That's the latest up-to-date that I've got.
Right. Okay. And, you mentioned, forming communities and an emergency, a trauma team and so forth. But even if you don't go along with that, if you're like a new parent, you should go out and you should learn that. If you have children, you really should have a basic first aid course under your belt to know how to perform CPR, or if you have elderly parents that you're living with.
Absolutely. I'm a firm advocate that everybody, starting from the age of 6, should learn first aid. There's no reason why you can't.
They should introduce that in the schools.
I think they should teach that in the schools. I don't know why they don't. They spend so much time talking about gender identity in the schools. Surely you have a few hours to fit in something useful like a first aid course.
There you go. Absolutely. All right. So let's begin. The staples that you should stockpile for long-term storage.
Okay, so we're going to do a Jen Psaki quote here.
And circle back?
Circle back.
Sorry, I stole your thunder there, buddy.
You did, Richard. You're always one step ahead of me because you're so damn clever.
It's
Anyways,
true.
Yeah, no. So we talked about water storage a couple of weeks ago and the importance of having at least 3 months worth supply of water. Before that, we talked about getting prepped and getting ready, and that you need 1 year's supply of food. It used to be, I recommended 3 months supply of food. Then I went, well, what's coming? It's probably going to last longer than 3 months, 6 months supply of food. Now, as we can see what's going on here, and what did you see that another food processing plant?
In France, yeah.
In France, got fire.
A produce market, the whole thing, poof.
Yeah.
I've lost count now. I've lost count how many of these around the world have mysteriously just gone up in flames.
Yeah, mysteriously. They all just suddenly, all these food processing plants are suddenly burning down to the ground. What a coincidence. So, look, we know what they're doing. So now we need a year's supply worth of food. This is a lot of food, and it's very hard. And then how do you store it? Well, the easiest thing you can do is store staples. Now, by staples, I mean rice, flour, and pasta, because this stuff stores forever, provided you package it well. So let's first talk about rice.
Okay, we're going to talk about rice on the other side. We're up against a break here. Stefan Verstappen, emergency preparedness expert, author of The Art of Urban Survival, back with our discussion on rice and beans and guns and gold. Just kidding. Stay with us. More to come.
Back to the conversation on The Richard Syrett Show. News Talk, Saga 960 AM.
Welcome back to part two of our Survivalist segment that airs every Monday at this time. Stefan Verstappen, emergency preparedness expert, author of The Art of Urban Survival. And we're talking about the three staples you should stockpile for long-term storage: rice, flour, pasta, because these things will store, they'll keep forever virtually if they're stored properly. So we were going to talk about rice, first of all, Stefan.
Yeah, because also, listen, we're all on a budget. So how do you get a year's supply worth of food and not blow your budget? Rice is one of the cheapest things. Now, back in March, rice was going at Walmart for $10 for 20 pounds. So I bought 5 bags. So I got 100 pounds of rice. 100 pounds of rice will give me a bowl of rice every day for a year.
Wow.
And it only cost me $50. So that's what I bought. And I'm still adding to it. And rice, if it's stored properly, will last you up to 30 years.
Oh, is that right? Wow.
Oh, yeah. But you got to store it properly. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. Now, the next thing that I bought in bulk, and the same thing, I'm buying like 20-pound bags of it, that is flour. Sorry, let me just circle back to rice for a second. When you buy rice, it's got to be white rice. Brown rice or purple rice has too many oils in it, and those oils will go rancid.
Should it be parboiled? It should be parboiled, or?
No. Just get the jasmine rice, get the long grain white rice. Okay. Just the standard stuff that comes in the bag. Of course, we're going to repackage it, so we're not going to keep it in the original bag it comes from. But only white rice, because that'll keep 30 years. If you get brown rice, that'll keep about two years, all right? Because, again, it has a lot of oils in the rice, and those oils will make it go bad. It will go rancid, no matter how well you store it. So white rice. Now, when we talk about flour, same thing. It's got to be white flour, whole wheat flour or brown flour or anything like that. Again, it's got too many oils in it, too much oil in it, and that will also go rancid. I mean, you can still package it and store it for 2-3 years, but flour will last you, 10 to 15 years if it's packaged right. And again, buy it in bulk, okay? Buy 20-pound bags of it. I think it was like $10 a bag for a 20-pound bag of flour. Then the other thing I buy is pasta. Now, pasta, once it's packaged correctly, lasts forever. And so get your spaghetti and rotini. I like the rotini, or your macaroni. And again, get about 50 pounds of flour, 50 pounds of pasta, and 50 pounds of rice. And now you've got enough food, the staples, to last you, 3 years, all right? Now you'll add to it with gravy and whatever you could scrounge.
Kidney beans?
Huh?
Kidney beans?
Yeah, no, see, I hate beans, so I never buy beans. It is, I know a lot of people go for the beans, And the kidney beans and the other kinds, I don't even know what kind of beans they are. I hate beans. I won't eat them. Chickpeas, yeah, I know. I can't eat that stuff, so I don't store it. Up to you if you want to store that. But I'm talking about, the flour. That means you can bake bread for a year. Okay?
Right, but then what about you need eggs and you need milk, though, don't you?
Not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now I also stockpile some yeast, and I also have powdered milk. And you can get powdered eggs, but powdered eggs are really expensive. But the most simple form of bread is bannock, all right? It's just water, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt. That's it. And that's what we used to eat when we went on our canoe trips. We'd mix it up, put it in a baggie. When we got to the campfire, we'd open it up, wrap it, roll it between your hands so that it's like a string, like a sausage, and then wrap it around a stick, hold the stick over top of the fire, and then you got the bread. Smells great, tastes great. Listen, when you're hungry, fresh baked bread, even without the egg and the milk in it.
Okay.
Tastes fantastic. Okay, so those were the three staples. Now, let's talk about storing it. There's different ways you can store it. Now, some of the, real hardcore preppers, they'll buy like 200 pounds of this stuff, of everything. I'm recommending 50 pounds. That'll last you for 3 years. But real hardcore preppers will buy a couple 100 pounds of everything, and they'll store it in food grade buckets, and that's fine. Again, it will last a long time, but I don't like to store it in a big food grade bucket because every time you open up the bucket to get out enough flour to make a loaf of bread, you expose the remaining flour again to the air and the moisture, and you're just going to increase the chance that it's going to go bad. So what the best way to store it. And yeah, you can use mason jars, but mason jars are heavy and they're expensive. So the best way to store it is Mylar bags. Now, a Mylar bag, it's just like those space blankets. Right. You've seen those shiny space blankets, except it's a little bit more heavy duty. And what a Mylar bag is plastic bonded to aluminum foil. Very thin aluminum foil, very thin plastic, but it will keep out air and moisture. And this is the key ingredient, keeping it out of the air and keeping it dry. So the Mylar bags, you can buy big bags. And again, some of the heavy-duty preppers will buy these giant bags. They'll fill up, 30, 40 pounds of rice, put it in one bag, throw that into a bucket.
And they're sealable? Do they have like a tab?
Yeah, they're sealable. So there's two kinds, but they're both sealable. The kind I get has a Ziploc. It's like a Ziploc baggie, all right? And I don't buy the big bags. I buy the bags that are about 6 inches by 10 inches, which means that each bag will hold 2 pounds of rice or 2 pounds of flour. So it's a bit of a pain in the butt to take 50 pounds of rice and scoop them up 2 pounds at a time into a Mylar bag. But the benefit of that is if I need rice, I can just take 1 2-pound bag and open it up, and I'm good for a week with that. And I'm not exposing the rest of it to air and moisture. So what you do is you put your flour or your rice or the pasta into like a 2-pound bag, Mylar bag. Then you need to add one other thing, and that's an oxygen absorber. Now, you can buy all this stuff on Amazon. It's not that expensive, way cheaper than buying mason jars. And again, this will keep your stuff good 10, 20 years, right?
So one of those oxygen absorbers goes into every Mylar 2-pound bag?
That's what I do, yes. I put one of those oxygen absorbers in an oxygen absorber. Don't confuse that with a silicone gel pack. A lot of people use that too, but that's to reduce moisture.
Right.
But an oxygen absorber is to take the oxygen out because it's the oxygen that will make the food spoil sooner. So you take your Mylar bag, you put in 2 pounds worth of flour, you throw in an oxygen absorber, and you can get they sell them in packs like 30 for like $15 or something like that. It's not a big deal. It's not huge expense.
Very quickly, how to store the pasta?
Same.
That would be easier, I'm thinking.
Nope, same.
Same, okay.
Yeah. So now what I've got, and I keep them all in my storage area, and I've got a dresser, and the bottom drawer is all flour, middle drawer is all rice, top drawer is all pasta. Now, the great thing about this, like I said, is that I can take a 2-pound bag once a week out and open it up Also, the Mylar bags are resealable. So even after you open it, you can reseal it. When you seal it the first time, you need to take an iron and then iron over the top. And now it's really airtight. But you can open it up and then reseal it afterwards. And that'll keep it good for a long time. Now, the other great thing about this is it's a wonderful barter item.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so if I need to barter with somebody, if I say, I need a dozen eggs, I'll give you 2 pounds of rice. And it's a nice compact package. It's not like a big 10-pound bag of flour. It's a 2-pound bag of flour. And it's very compact, and it's sealed, and it's good for 15, 20 years.
Fantastic. Stefan, I got to run here. We're out of time. All fantastic advice. And again, the website, chinastrategies.com and formingcommunities.com. Stefan Verstappen, the author of The Art of Urban Survival. We'll talk again next week.
Great, Richard. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.